welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakely will dive to the inside.
We were robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to PSGL YouTube channel once again here for one of our, I think our third social races here on the brand new F125 game. Of course, we're doing lots of social races before the new season begins in a few weeks' time. And I would have had a second camera screen up with Tom on, but unfortunately, I couldn't get that sorted in time. But alongside me in the commentary box this evening is Tom and Blank. And Tom, welcome in. Great to have you alongside us. And today we're heading to a rather interesting track, one that we don't often see on this game.
Yeah, certainly so, racing around Melbourne. And a track that obviously recently has been revamped, allowing this track to be a lot more high speed and more flowing. And with Dirty Air changing a little bit on this game, it will always be interesting to see how the cars and the drivers will be handling a new track as such. We have seen everyone be joining this lobby, which means we'll get underway quite soon. But these social races, they're called social for a reason, but they do also have a little impact on your future here in PSGL, obviously preparing themselves for those big competitions to start in a couple of weeks' time. And all the drivers that we will be seeing across here are the absolute best of the best on the PC platform, a little bit scattered amongst each other. Of course, we have another race that will be starting in about an hour from now, but up until that moment, keep watching here because it will go down pretty soon.
It certainly will. We have everybody in the lobby that we need, but we'll have a quick look at the track map. Of course, we are here at Melbourne. Very, well, it's a very iconic track, a track that's been around for a very long time, but one that league racing doesn't really have that often. Because the racing's a bit difficult, and also it's a track that not many drivers are actually keen on this game, but you can see it on our screen, of course. We need DRS zones for the drivers to use, of course, stay in those back straights to get some extra speed, looking to overtake others, but also using that DRS range to keep with everybody, of course, as you're making your way around a full 50% race. And then we'll have a look at the lobby as well, where you can see who will be taking part in
This evening's race. Once it decides to show up on our screens, we can see who is in. There we are. So we have in the McLarens, we have Conrad Bohm, then we have Tom Roberts, we have Ryan Modler and Valentino Labella, we have Simon Engel.
You can press spectator.
And Marcel Pabst. Oh. There we go. Spectator now. We'll carry on. So, Casper Flack and Sergio Sabrino. We have Lilian Debecourt and No One. We have Tias Korsman and Joris Krozen. Buba and Gabel Chantas. We have Luca Rapassa and Race Imtiaz. Top A Matthias van Erven. Votek Steg and Julian Klaffenbach. So that's a full grid. Very competitive there, Timon. But what drivers do you think that we should be looking at in terms of looking to be at the top here?
Oh, it's always going to be very difficult to point out which drivers will be fast, especially at the start of a game. I mean, you have to look at the big names that we're seeing here. I mean, both RAG drivers. We have, I mean, a couple of other devs. We've got Toppe, we've got Matthijs van Erven. So there's certainly a couple of very, very quick drivers in there today that can certainly make an impact. I'm getting tagged a couple of times. And then I don't know what's going on, actually. There are a couple of issues.
That again, Timon?
There are seemingly a couple of issues going on in the game. Drivers are, I believe someone has disconnected, so we are waiting on them for a little bit, but then afterwards we will be good to go and ready to start.
My stream is not seeming to work very well at all, so I'm going to try and sort that out as quickly as possible. I don't know why. Should be back to normal now. Can you quickly talk, Simon?
You know, of course I can talk.
There we go. So it's working. Oh, so the sound's working now. I don't know what the issue was. We'll be able to see once we get into the game if it all works out. But yeah, interesting things. Interesting things.
And it's not only a season opener for the drivers, it's also a season opener here for the commentators, because we need to absolutely test everything out and make sure everything is going well.
Yes, exactly. And my PC's not having a fun time right now, so I'm going to try and sort that out.
I believe my internet isn't having a fun time either, so yeah, it's going great.
Nothing wants to work, does it? Whenever you need it to work, it doesn't want to, unfortunately.
It's working fine. It's working fine. No, but we are waiting on Thomas Laminen, who has unfortunately crashed out his game. So normally, where it's a great opportunity to talk about driver standings, and what we have seen in the previous round, obviously it will be a little bit more difficult to do so now. All the drivers that have been in here have, of course, been focusing on their sign-ups for PSGL, making sure that they get the best times there. And yeah, they have probably practiced a little bit for this race that we have got right here in front of us. Lobby is getting a couple of updates in, but I do see Thomas Laminen joining the lobby, which means that once he selected his car, which is right now, all the drivers will be able to ready up and get started as soon as possible.
Indeed, yes, we have everyone in, finally, and we'll shortly be heading into the lobby. There we go. Here we are starting to ready up. And of course, around here tonight, we have a short qualifying 18 minutes and then our 29 lap race. 50% of the normal race distance, and strategy-wise, should be one stop around here. I'll be surprised if it wasn't, unless we have safety cars featuring. But of course, on this game, we know that the tyre wear is high. So do you reckon that we'll see drivers start on the hards or the mediums here, Simon?
That will be. It's going to be very, very difficult to call. And I mean, you'll be looking at the tire strategies like they did it last year. But obviously, on this game, many things have changed, including the way that these tires work. There have been many small things, maybe even things that you didn't notice, but in the game files, those small changes have certainly been made, and especially the way that these tires are working. And I personally hope that this is going to be a game where it's viable to start on all three tires at the start of the race and still have a good result. It could be a little bit that you're going for softs, maybe a two-stop, or that medium and hards will be a lot more spread throughout the field.
Indeed. And what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly restart the stream to refresh it all. So we'll be back in around a minute's time.
Test.
Right, I need to quickly launch YouTube.
Oh.
What?
Thomas Laminen went really wide.
Oh. Just going to double check if it's gone live again. It might make me start a new one.
Yes, sir.
Is it live? It is live. So it should be back, I think.
Absolutely incredible.
Right, sorry guys.
I mean,
I think
back right in time. Go for it.
I'm just going to double check on the stream on YouTube that it's live.
And meanwhile, I'll just do my commentary over it. We have the first couple of cars that are rounding up their laps. We currently have Matthijs van Even, who is the quickest man on track with a 1:14.667. But we do have a lot of cars going directly through each other. So it is quite difficult to keep track of who has set a lap time and who hasn't. And obviously all the colours changing doesn't make it a lot easier as well. We do have a kick coming towards the line, which is not Wojtek. He is currently in that final turn, whilst there are only 3 lap times set currently, which are Matthijs van Even, Bobba and Reese Imtiaz. But Wojtek is coming towards the line in the kick. Sauber puts himself in towards that 5th position, and he was fully caught up during that lap by Casper Fletch, who started his lap time seemingly very close behind the kick Sauber driver, trying to gain a slipstream, but it didn't really work, only gaining a 1/10 of a second of time. We do have Valentino Labella coming towards the line, but with an invalidation, his lap time unfortunately will not be counting. We do also have a couple of others on that lap, and is the stream all good, Nathan?
It is, and I love how EA have backed what they fixed. So, first social race, I sent a complaint out to them about the names on the boards because it doesn't allow certain names through. Like you can see, for example, Matthijs van Even, it cuts off half of his name. They fixed it, and then they've gone and changed it back again with the new update. So,
That's
luckily, we know the drivers on the grid, otherwise we'd be in a bit of trouble trying to figure out who's who. But there we are, some more lap times being set on the board. Lillian Derbicourt jumping up into P4. We have Marcel Pabst as well, just heading out to the final corner in the Red Bull, heading up to the line now. Let's see what he can do. To the line, we'll go P6 there with a 15.2. So what sort of lap times do you expect to see here, Tom, for that pole spot? We're looking maybe the 14 3s and 4s here?
Well, I mean, we are currently already in those mid-14s and having the track become a little bit better over the course, and drivers taking a little bit more risk on that final lap. I do believe we will be looking at a low 14, but the question is how low of a 14 will we be getting? Matthijs van Erven currently being the quickest, but we do also need to look at the many invalidations we have on the lap times that are currently on the board. All lap times from TS Korsman, who's currently in the 12th position downwards, are all lap times that are invalidated, or drivers that are yet to set a lap time. We have a couple of drivers that are on a fast lap, one of them being Joris Cruzen, coming out towards that final turn and setting the first lap of his session, going towards a 14.7, so a solid banker lap from him, putting himself in towards that third position. Sergio Sobrino coming towards the line as well, but unfortunately for him, he has invalidated. And there are obviously a couple of new drivers also for our commentators on the screen, and one of those drivers being the Red Bull driver, which is Simon the name's cut off, which is absolutely incredible. I believe it is Simon Engel. It's a console driver from the previous seasons. Always great to see them making a change and a step up on towards the PC side of things. Same obviously being for Ryan. So yeah, will be a couple of new names to learn for us throughout the season, Nathan.
There certainly will, and that's a great thing as well. Getting fresh faces here, racing competitively at the top. And, well, most of them are all heading their way back into the pits. Everybody's setting their first laps, and it's a Williams 1-2 at the moment. Top A jumping up into P2 with a 7-1-3. Sergio is going to head back into the pits after completing his first... Well, sorry, after not completing his first lap. Suffered from an invalidation in the first sector. And then, of course, we have Crozen, Rapassa, Buba all heading into the pits themselves after completing their first laps. And we already have Van Erven and Ryan Modeler out on circuit to go once again here in this qualifying session. Let's have a look at Matthijs just heading through that first sector now in towards turn number 3. Of course, DRS open. You wanting to brake as late as possible just before that black board. As you head into the braking zone, of course, you can see just trying to drift the car in a little bit, carry speed through as you exit out of turn 4 and 5. One right-hander to go. Of course, try not to hit the wall as you make your way through the end of that first sector. And he's up by 10,000ths of a second here, is Matthijs, but unfortunately running wide at the exit of that high-speed chicane, which is very easy to do around this circuit. Lots of drivers, I think, we'll see running wide there and making mistakes.
Yeah, you are certainly seeing a lot of very tricky corners throughout this lap. The first man that was still on that lap time, Matthijs van Erven, unfortunately invalidating his lap time. One of the first drivers actually to set his lap time, and still at 14.6, seemingly being a very solid banker. Drivers that are going quickly should be able to do 4 runs, or 3 full runs and 1 invalidated one, because Matthijs van Erven heading back in towards the pit lane now will be getting a quick tyre swap, and then he still has 2 full runs ready to go. And everyone currently is either on an out lap or fully in towards the pit lane themselves. And the first man to start a lap time, I believe it is a newcomer on the PC side of things. It is Ryan.
Indeed, yes. Ryan, of course, was on, I think, PSF1 last season. He was a very quick driver over on PlayStation, now jumping onto PC, and I believe was part of TF10 before. I just presume he's just moving over to their PC division. So we'll have to see what he can do this evening, and of course, hopefully heading into the season, F2, F3 should be a possibility for Ryan, especially considering he was in the top division of PlayStation. As he just heads his way out of that first sector now, heading through sector 2. Of course, this second sector, there's no needing to brake or lift off at all. It's just a long straight with a couple of kinks left and right, as of course you head your way into that horrible high-speed chicane. Turns 9 and 10. He's up by a 10th here, so could be looking to jump up into P7.
Yeah, but unfortunately he does invalidate coming through that turn, a little bit going too much on the inside, and the driver behind him, TS Korsman, has invalidated as well. So you might have to help me search for the next driver that is on a lap, and it might actually be Conrad Böhm, Oh no, it's not Conrad Boom, it's the other McLaren of Tom Roberts, currently in that middle sector. And Tom Roberts, he claimed himself to be destined for P20 in qualifying because he did not practice all that much, although we do get that talk by drivers about every single time we do a race. So let's see if the McLaren driver can do better than his own expectations. I mean, currently, if you set a valid lap time, you are already P15 or better. Coming out towards that final sector now, which actually is pretty tricky. Want to brake just after the shadow. Getting that car turning nicely and just fully on throttle in that final turn. Want to keep the car there, open the DRS as quickly as possible and use the rest of your battery down towards the line. And Tom Roberts setting that 7th lap. So I would say that is already a lot better than P20 that I predicted.
Yes, definitely. A great improvement there for Tom Roberts. We have Conrad Bohm as well in the other McLaren now, heading out of the final corner, heading up to the line. Of course, a long run here to the finish line around Melbourne, and he goes up into P8 there, just a couple of hundredths behind his teammate Tom Roberts. Was actually up by over 2/10 in the middle sector, so must have made a mistake in that final sector. I'm going to go on board here with Sergio Sobrino, heading through the end of sector 2 of 42.915 is his split for the first and second sector, as he heads his way down to the braking zone at turn number 11, just before that 50-metre board. Get the car down to third gear, get it turned in nicely, then of course straight back on the throttle as you head through the final sector. Very easy to run wide, so make sure you turn in at the correct points here, then back again down to third gear, back on the power through the final corner. Let's see what can Sergio Sobrino do. Of course, won in Spain on one of our previous social races, goes to the top there by nearly a 10th with a 1:14.596.
Yeah, I'm currently on board with the Ferrari driver Valentino Labella. Obviously, he used to be a very, very fast driver on those console side of things, doing challenges a couple of years ago. Big shame that that still isn't a thing anymore with Valentino Labella going up towards that final turn right now in that beautiful red Ferrari. Absolutely gorgeous car. It will be coming towards the line now. Let's see what kind of lap time he can put on the board. He will go up towards 7th, and I do believe just in front of him we had Luca Rapassa jumping his way up towards that 3rd position as well. The Veloce Academy driver is certainly showing some good things out there for his team. And we do have yours cruising coming towards that line. And we were talking, Nathan, you said a 0.4. Well, it's already been said in the been done in the second to last run before the end. Indeed. How much faster will it go? That is going to be the question.
I mean, then again, it is, of course, Joris, Matthias and Julian in the top 3. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise, considering the grid we've got. They are definitely the 3 best drivers we have here this evening, and so far proving it here in qualifying. As we have Top A jumping into the mix there. P2 at 4.42, just ahead of his teammate, and then just behind Joris Kroes. And I mean, Joris, I think, should realistically be looking to be going first in qualifying and first in the race, considering he was part of F1 Sim Racing last season for the Haas team. Hopefully we'll see him once again in the upcoming season, whenever that begins. I mean, we've only just got started on F1 25. There's no point even thinking about F1 Sim Racing just yet. We know how hard that can be for F1 to organise, so we'll give them a bit of extra time to sort it all out. But of course, Joris will be heading back into the pits, I presume. We'll be having enough time to go once again. And then the next car on a lap was Tias Korsman, but he's had an invalidation. What about Marcel Pabst here in the Red Bull? He's made a mistake and will be lifting off. What about Race Tias? I think, Timon, he might be on a lap here.
We'll go on board with the Aston Martin driver who's up towards that final sector. But if we look at the battery, Nathan, I do seriously doubt that he is on a quick lap. And if he does go for a quick lap right now, he will be in a little bit of a time crunch towards the latter end of the session. So we'll be seeing all drivers head back in towards the pit lane right now and preparing themselves for that final lap. We do have Matthias van Erven, who I believe stayed out, which is quite interesting to me, doing another lap. So he either missed the pit lane somehow, or he's going to do a double lap, which will be a very interesting strategy, something we've not seen before. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh. I don't know what that's all about. But if we're going to talk about F1 Sim Racing, what you were talking about, and that they don't have that much, or we're going to give them that much time in ahead. It's called planning. You can plan ahead, sign multiple year contracts, but no, the F1 scene, it is kicking off, even though we're not talking about it. We have driver moves individually, a couple of big names leaving certain organizations. I mean, we do have Nicolas Longue, who's leaving Ferrari, Ismail Fassi, who has left Williams, and Otis Lawrence being a free agent currently as well. And those are some big names that are left on that market. So I think many eyes are set on that world, especially among these drivers who all want to get involved, get either a development seat or make it one day up there themselves. And I mean, we've got a couple of drivers that are development drivers already. And we also have one driver, like you said previously, Joris Cruzen, who has been in that hot seat for an entire season already. The man was currently on top, Joris Cruzen.
Indeed, and I think another driver here on this grid that should be making his way into an esports seat next season, in my opinion, is Julian Klaffenbach. I mean, look back 3 years ago, F120, the start of F122, end of 21, he got banned from PSGL, got banned from WR and pretty much all competitive leagues. Then I think it was the start of F123, TF10 gave him a go, he joined them and proved himself wrong. He's now racing in, IRL in America. He's one of the quickest on the game, and I think personally he should be in line for a season in F1 sim racing. Of course, he couldn't have done it last season due to his age, but now he's 16, he can be eligible, so I expect to see him, hopefully, even in a third seat or possibly in one of the main drives next season, because I think he really deserves it, personally.
Yeah, I fully agree. And if we're going to look on the track, all cars coming out at the same time, and we do have a very big cluster of cars that are all in the mix of each other. But yeah, I mean, Julian Klaffenbach, I mean, that's you have on football where you do have certain wonder kids that are coming through. And I mean, Julian Klaffenbach is a driver that many teams have had their eyes up on, and he is certainly set to make his debut in the F1 esports world this year. He's tried out a couple of other games as well, Julian Klaffenbach, DTM esports for example, but he is behind both my drivers in that championship, so we got to stay humble about that. Just stick with F1, buddy.
Oh, dear me. Right, so we have cars starting laps, and, well, as soon as the lap started, it ended. Bobat was on the lap, but unfortunately ran wide at the exit of turn 2 and will not be able to set another lap time in this session. So unless there's enough time, but we can't say because of the 114. So he just about has enough time to get around, but of course he's got to make sure that he's not worn his tyres too much and he's actually got enough battery to go again. So it will be a close one here for Boba to go once more. But we have got Valentino Labella just heading through now in towards the end of Sector 1. He's up by 20 thousandths on his personal best here. So already we'll be looking to challenge Gabel Chontos. But of course we'd like to be finding even more time on this lap to jump higher, possibly to Luca Rapassa. And then of course those ahead as we head our way down in towards the end of Sector 2. What time has Valentino found? He's actually lost a 10th here heading through that second sector. So bit touch and go here for Valentino so far, but we've also got to kind of count in how many other drivers will not be able to improve here, because a lot of them would have been setting PBs.
Yeah, certainly so. And I mean, that first sector is a place where you want to be gaining a lot of lap time, because in the second sector, it's mainly just one corner and then straight line speed. You won't be improving that much compared to your previous lap time. And then it is to survive in that third sector. The tires are probably absolutely on fire. At least it would be in real life. In the game, it is a little bit more manageable, and you want to just keep that fastest lap time going. I'm currently on board with Wojciech Stek, who is coming through towards that final turn right now. And Nick Sauber, the first driver to actually set his lap time, and Berber, who was unable to set that lap time towards the end of the session. Wojciech Stek does not improve, unfortunately, for him. We have another couple of cars coming towards the line. Luca Rapassa not improving. We'd have the Ferrari of Ryan coming towards the line. He goes up towards 7th. And the fast lap time for Konrad Böhm.
Indeed, a really good lap there by Konrad, a 3.48. In the McLaren goes up to that top spot, nearly a 10th separating himself and Joris Cruzen here in this session. Of course, many other drivers have still got to complete their lap times. We have Luca Rapassa staying in P8, Race Imtiaz up to P10 there with a .749. What about Matthias van Erven here in the Williams? A bit of a slide heading through that final corner. Will head up to the line. Joris can't improve off P2. Matthias won't improve from P4. What about Topper here? He's also made a mistake, so won't get any higher than P3 here. So it seems like that pole position could be confirmed unless Julian Klaffenbach has something to say. He does not either. So many drivers there. I think P2 all the way down to P8 there, Timon, didn't find an improvement. So because of that, Konrad Böhm secures pole position with a 3.48 by nearly a 10th to Joris Cruzen, and that is a superb lap there from the TES driver.
Yeah, I think many drivers on this grid currently will be leaving the qualifying session a little bit unsatisfied or wanting to set that better lap time and not doing so. And I mean, they're lucky that many other drivers didn't do that either. But the two people that have to be really disappointing, I mean, I'm looking at P19, P20, Thias Korsman, Thomas Lamminen, both not setting a single valid lap time. Kasper Flach being 2/10 off the back of the next car as well. Those three drivers, certainly, I don't think they should be happy at all about their qualifying performance, and they will be left with a severe struggle in throughout this race. But if we're going to be looking at the results that we have here, Conrad Boom being the fastest man in this first session, Joris Cruz in second, and we've got Topias Koivunen, Matthijs van Everen, Gabor Santos, it's an absolutely incredible name. Difficult to pronounce though. Julian Klaffenbach in sixth, and we've got Sergio Sobrino, Luca Rapassa, Ryan Mutler making his debut on the PC scene, getting a P9, which is a very solid result. We've got Tom Roberts, Reese Imtiaz, Valentino Labella, Lilian Debekut, Wojtek Stak, Boba, Marcel Paps, Simon Engel, Kasper Flach, and then the two drivers that did not set a valid lap time are Korsman and Thomas Laminen.
Indeed, and I've got to say that was a surprise because I'd expect those two at least to be getting lap times on the board. But here we go, very close to starting this Grand Prix. Of course, luckily there's no restarts on this game, so we can go straight into the race in action. And looking at the race director, always like to have a bit of a cheeky peek, and we can see most drivers here on hards, a few looking for mediums, of course. Softs, I doubt we'll see. They're not that good in the race at all. I mean, sometimes, even if, obviously, on last game, you could go for 2 laps in quali, but even in this game, it's a bit of a push because the wear is a lot higher than it used to be, 1.5 to 2 times higher than we saw in previous games, so I don't think we'll see many of those featuring in this race. But before we get started, Tom, and anyone you predict for the win here?
Whoa, that's going to be a very difficult one. I see both Williamses. They were up there during the qualifying session, so I'll go for Matthijs van Everen.
Very solid prediction. I'm going to go with our pole man, Conrad Bohm. I don't bet for pole that often, so I'm going to go for pole here today. Of course, guys, in the chat, let us know who you think will take the win here this evening. A lot of competitive drivers here on the grid who will be looking to try and take that victory. Of course, we're just waiting now for everybody to put on their setups or make changes to their setups. Of course, talking to their engineers if they have any. And then, of course, just making sure everything is set for the race. Fuel, tyres, everything they need to do is good to go so they can have the best race possible and the highest chance to win. But, of course,
mediums.
Carry on.
Very, very many mediums. I'm just taking that peek at the race director, and I can only see 2 drivers, 1 driver on the hards.
But here we go. 5 lights here. Array, Melbourne, Australia, Albert Park Circuit for our 3rd social race of the new game. And we get underway. Good start from our top 2 as we head our way down to turn 1 top A as well with a really good start. Alongside Crows and into turn 1 we go. Can't quite find the move. Let's have a look at the tyres here on this first lap. Everybody on mediums, a bar. Conrad Bohm, he's on the hard tyres. Everybody else on a set of the medium rubber as we head into turn 3. Pandemonium, we've got cars 2-3 wide as we head our way into the end of that first sector. Lilian Devercourt looking to make moves. Gets ahead of Imtiaz, gets ahead of Labella as they head their way through out of turn 5. And I think a couple of cars hitting the barriers through turn 6.
Yeah, it was 3 wide throughout that first sector, and that could never go well. It was cars trying to move over towards the left-hand side. Tom Roberts and Marcel Paps being involved in that crash, both having wing damage. Also, Thomas Laminen and Thias Korsman having lost a lot of time needing to avoid those crashes. But no, it was 3 wide. Drivers wanted to go as much to the left-hand side as possible to make that happen, and unfortunately then the cars collided with each other, basically ran out of road, and we do see another yellow flag. Marcel Paps, I believe, letting Tom Roberts go, maybe showing that he knew he was at fault, or just retiring early on.
Well, that is disgraceful from Marcel Paps, I've got to say. Disappointing indeed. Lost a lot of respect in my book for that one. And Tom does it back. Well, there we go. Embarrassing from those 2 at the rear of the field. If that was me, that would be some sort of race ban heading into the new season, because even though it's a social race, it still looks bad for PSGL and leagues in general. Bad to see. But Thias Korsman retires in the pit, also not having the best start to this race, but 8 in front, it is still Conrad Bohm. And of course, going for the hard tyres compared to everybody else on the mediums, do you think that could help or disadvantage Conrad Bohm here? Because it's a different one, isn't it, compared to everybody else?
It's going to be a difficult one, but if you're able to manage on towards those hards for a long time, you should be in a very good position. And the longer he stays in that leading position, the better off he'll be. And I don't think Joris Cruz has any reason to go for that lead so early on, because he knows if he does so, he will be swamped later on. And being in that second position right now does leave you in a very, very good spot. We have Tom Roberts, who has actually decided to remain driving in towards the session, hoping for a safety car later on. Personally, haven't read all too much into the lobby settings, but we do have Luca Rapassa making a move up the inside compared to Ryan Mudler, and we do also have Matthijs van Even and Julian Klaffenbach going side by side in towards that third sector, and Matthijs van Even going very, very wide and diving back up the inside. Oh, there's a little bit of a nudge there, and Luca Rapassa is the driver who profits the most from it, still very wide in towards that final turn. It can't go well, can't go well.
Well, that is, oh my goodness, everybody's getting caught up there. We've got penalties, retirements, 3 drivers out, someone with a 10-second penalty. We've got people jumping into the pit lane. I mean, well, what we saw earlier we thought was bad, and this has ended up in 3 retirements, someone with a penalty for crashing into someone, and then I think Gabor as well got involved somewhere and has no front wing. But, well, another example of what we don't like to see, and there we go, safety car.
Yeah, it is a full safety car. We already have 5 DNFs, and I mean Tom Roberts. I think he's the one that's most happy about this. Obviously decided to drive on after that incident in the first lap, and he's going to be fully back in towards this race now. And all the medium drivers, I believe they are able to make a pit stop on towards those hard tires, and hopefully for them they will be able to last that all the way towards the end. But I do want to quickly quote a message from Connor, and I quote: "Best behavior. Don't need any epic fails." Which, if you don't know the lore about that, don't worry. But he basically said, behave yourself, drive normal, and we have 5 DNFs after 3 laps, so it's going absolutely amazing.
So I mean, it's not ideal, not what we like to see, especially considering some of the drivers here are, top of their game, very competitive drivers. It's rather poor, but hopefully.
I mean, yeah, it really happened with Matthijs van Erven, obviously being a little bit shoved off in towards the 90 degrees right-handed turn. First of all, he still remained alongside and then got pushed off again, and his car was still somewhat alongside. I believe it was Julian Klaffenbach. He was not fully clear, but Matthijs van Even then broke too late. Was a cut back from Luca Rapassa, and then afterwards it just remained 3 wide, and you can see going 3 wide through that corner that would simply never go well, and it didn't.
No, it certainly did not there. For many of the drivers, of course, we can see a lot of people pitting. Matthijs van Erven goes for soft tyres. That's interesting. Either he well, I presume if those are the mediums, they aren't going to go to the end. They're going to have to pit twice. So I presume he's also just joining in, and then in 5 or 6 laps times will pit to the end on hards, possibly. I'm not quite sure what he'll do there, but surely it's going to be a strategy. I don't think he really mistakenly put softs on.
Well, he's not the only one. I mean, Tom Roberts still only on that soft tyre, but he's going to be switching off it. The only reason I can see softs being viable here is if you are going to make another pit stop later on. That means that the hard tyres won't survive in the eyes of Matthijs van Erven, and it is better to do a 2-stop, and obviously using a set of the softs and then on towards the mediums or hard will be the best thing to do so. And he has 4 hard runners in front of him, so he may be able to make some moves. We did have Sergio Sobrino, who went in towards the pit lane on the exact lap that the safety car came out, and he gained quite a few positions as well. Currently in that 7th position, only has 1 lap extra wear on his tyres, but we do still have 4 drivers that decided to stay out. Konrad Böhm on those hard tyres, obviously staying out. Tobias Koivunen, Reese Imtiaz, and Tuomas Laminen all staying out. Is that the best strategy, though, Nathan? That's going to be the difficult thing, because we're in a lot of unknowns here. We don't know if those hard tyres can make it all the way towards the end.
We've got so many different strategies. Matthijs is pitting, so he'll, I presume, go into hards here. But we have, obviously, Konrad Böhm stayed out on hards. We had top 8 Race Imtiaz and Tuomas Laminen stay out on mediums. We had people pit for hards, people pit for mediums. So there's so many different strategies here at the moment going on. We can't really call what's going to be the winning strategy, and we can see there Matthijs van Erven going for his old mediums, the ones he was on before the safety car. So, of course, we'll definitely... No, I'm back. We're back on. Yep. Get your... Yeah, I'm going to get your audio on.
Great that they didn't hear that. Absolutely incredible. I mean...
Yes, we are. We're back, guys. Oh.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, my PC's not...
It's going absolutely flawless. We do have another DNF. Sergio Sabrina, unfortunately, deciding to retire that car a little bit earlier on. And there was a little bit of a gap in the DRS train, but it has been got back up by Casper Flatch. We had to burn a little bit of his battery, but that gap is all the way back. What you guys missed was the safety car deciding to just start whilst the holdback wasn't actually fully there. That's why Tom Roberts is on such a big gap behind. And I do believe that Conrad Boehm either overtook the safety car by himself, or the safety car actually teleported a little bit back. Conrad Boehm overtook him for a slight moment, but then now it is all good. Look, Ripasa and Rhys Imtiaz going side by side through that corner, and you can go 2 wide, 3 wide. That's where we put the limit. Look at Ripasa going around the outside through that final turn and putting those fresh tyres to good use. Lap 9 out of 29. Look at Ripasa seemingly in a very good position right now. The only question is, will those hards go to the end? And one of those drivers that just picked up a penalty, Casper Flatch, picking up a 3-second time penalty already on only lap 9 of the race. That's a little bit slacky.
It certainly is. We're going to get ourselves back into the session. I'm loading in. It's a bit laggy, but hopefully once the PC gets itself warmed up, we should be back and up and running once again. And Will Gibson, shut up. It's not the internet, it's my PC. So if you want to buy me one, then you can. Until then, shut up moaning. Right.
You think Will Gibson can buy you one? There's absolutely no chance Will Gibson of all people would buy you a PC. He'd buy you Mackies, that's it.
Yeah, that'll work.
He'd buy you Mackies and then eat half of it. Nah, I love you, Will.
Right, let's see if it works. I'm loading in now. We're in. And great, the stream's lagging. I don't know what I can do here, guys. Give it a couple seconds. But no. You keep talking and I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be trying your best, but currently not all that much is going on. The little drivers are actually quite spread out, which I do find a little bit more interesting. The drivers that are on seemingly the same tyres are struggling to stay very, very closely behind. So we do have the gaps that are now a little bit bigger. Usually it would be 3-4 tenths of the gaps, and now I would say that those gaps have promoted itself up towards a tenth or 5, 6, maybe even 7. Tobias Koivunen, though, taking a very slow line.